Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am sharing a really simple Christmas card using the little elf from Rachelle Anne Miller. This one is a digital stamp that I truly adore, so I printed it onto Transotype perfect coloring paper so that I could use my Copic markers to color this adorable image. Now, as you know me, when I start with images that are people, I tend to start with the hardest parts of these images. I find them till today harder to color in than, for example, critters, because people have hair and hair is difficult in my opinion. But also skin tone, although it's quite similar to fur. I don't know what it is, but I find it really hard to get the blend that I want. So that's why I start with hair or with the skin tone, one of both of them. So aside from that, about the coloring, as you know me, I color from darkest to lightest and I just keep going back and forth until I'm happy with the blend. So that's what I'm doing here as well. About the hair, there I decided to go for some sort of a blonde idea. And so I used the E50s, E55, E53, E51, and if needed I also have E50, but most of the time 3 markers are just what I need when I'm doing hair with Copic markers. So I'm doing here a bit of flicking. There is only a small area of hair, so that went quite quickly, and then I started on the rest. Now for the colors of this little elf's clothing, I first wanted to do greens with a hint of red, but a lot of the amazing design team members did that during the release of this adorable image, so I thought maybe it was more handy for you guys if I tried out another color combination just to share it with you. It can be that I will still make a card with my greens and reds as I wanted to make, but since it's quite similar to what you might already have seen on Instagram, well, I'm doing this. I already used this blue combination in the past, but when I used that one, I didn't use the BG78 along with the other ones. And actually having that really dark color led me to this combination. And I really liked it because this way I had a really dark color to play with contrasts. So that's why I added this marker to the combination, but without the BG78 is a really classic BG combination that a lot of people use and love. So I thought adding it wouldn't bother anyone, and if you don't have that one, you don't need to add it, you know. But it was lovely to play again with my BGs. I haven't done that, I think, this year for Christmas cards yet. I'm not sure because I think I created quite a lot already, but you never know. And then I decided, as always, to use this combination as much as possible. So also on the hat, on the shoes, and then we will use a pop of red later on to help with still the Christmas vibe, although this image on its own is already Christmas enough in my opinion. So I'm doing the same as with the jacket, although the shoes are smaller, and then of course the hat is a bit smaller, so I had to watch out a bit more, but the principle is the same, adding my darkest one, going towards my lightest one, and then go back over. And if you see that you have a lot of area where you're using the lightest one, then maybe you can extend the other colors that you had a bit more to have it more divided over your part of the image. But in the case of the shoes and the hat, it worked perfectly, I think, the way it was with my first layer, but you never know, you never know. And although I switched to blue, here I still wanted to have the green popping, so my original thought, as many apparently, was to have everything that I have blue right now to having green and then have red on the package and then green bow because, well, I like to have my colors return on my image. But I really love how I colored this image in the end, and I am glad that I did it like this. So I have a pop of red here on the berries, on the shoes I will also add a bit, and the socks I will also use the red combination, and then of course the bow to have something returning. So the big bow on the package will also be red, and that was really not easy to color in. I think if you're someone that colors the pencils, that would be really handy. Just because it's this thin bow and lots of curly lines and stuff, so it was a bit of a struggle, and I went outside the lines, as you know me, and so I ended up using my colorless blender because that is my lifesaver always. So yeah, that's what I did, and even not on the bow I needed that colorless blender, but that's just fun. So now onto the greens. The leafies on the head and then the package will go in that green. And I just love this combination. It's one that I used already quite a lot this year, I think, but it just works. So I'm not an inventor of color combinations necessarily, and when I like a combination I will use it very often. It's like the hair and the skin tone. This is the skin tone that I used most often. There are of course many skin tones out there, and so but yeah, it's just a handy combination that I have on hand, and I know that it works, so that's why I grabbed towards it. But again, if you like other combinations or if you like to experiment, then definitely do, because it is fun. But from time to time I just want to stick to the basics that I already know. Also, this green combination works, but as you can see, it was quite a lot of that light color that I had here. So on my second layer I went way further with my yellow green 03 because I had more space to add it to. And that way it wasn't all that yellow green 00, which is lovely, but just a little bit more. And then of course I forgot completely those leaves, but I fixed that. And then the bow. I think it's worth it to take your time and do this, but truly it was a challenge for me. But again, it's gorgeous, and I love the swirliness and the elegance of this bow on the package. It's something different than from the regular bows that you normally see, and I just love it. This is truly a Rachelle Anne Miller masterpiece. So here it's clear that I had to fix quite a few mistakes, but no worries. And then I couldn't forget about the little mouse here. How adorable is this one? It's really cute. So I just really softly used some warm grays. I didn't want to overdo it because I already had a lot of color going on the elf itself. But I love this mouse. If you don't like it, you can always cover it before printing it, of course, on your worksheet that you're working with before printing it. But I just love this tiny accent. Next up, I decided to figure out what to do with my colored image. So I used the A2 rectangle frames from My Favorite Things. I cut it out of my favorite pattern paper from the Petite Gingham paper pad from My Favorite Things, and also twice out of actually the backing of the My Favorite Things packages. That's why it's a bit of a different white, but it's thicker than just paper. It's sort of a cardboard sort of thing. It's really hard paper. So I just did that. Then I trimmed around this first layer that I added to my paper. This way I knew exactly how big my card had to be, or my panel had to be, to get it A2 sized. And then I build up the rest of the frame, adding again a white layer like that, and then the pattern paper to finish it off. I also chose this pattern paper because it was perfect to go with the green that I used on the present. And then you can definitely leave it like this. I think that's gorgeous, and I thought about doing that. But I decided to add a little bit of grounding. Again, I'm not an expert, so I just try to add a bit of a shadowy grounding thingy. I use my T-square ruler not to go right against the ruler, because that doesn't work normally for me, but just to have my first go straight of the grounding, and then I could work from there and elongate it using my warm gray markers. I also scribbled a bit behind each of the images, keeping in mind that I had my shadows on the left side, so then the shadow formed on the ground was also on the left side. And that's just how I started scribbling until I was happy. So I used two warm gray markers, one to have the shadows there and one to let it help fade out into the white area. Then I'm adding this panel on top of an A2 size card base. I'm using a Tombow Maxi Power tape. I love this tape, it's really sturdy, it's really handy to roll as well. And then I decided to finish this card off with some embellishments, and there were many options and I tried out many things. But in the end I decided to use the Itty Bitty Stars Matte Gold from Little Things from Lucy's Cards. This is one of those classic embellishments that almost always work, and I just love it for that. Others are iridescent anything. It works. So that's what I did. I just added that, and then I contemplated about adding glossy accents because there are many areas where we can add that, but I decided to not do that in the end. I decided to keep the card as it is right now and just have this adorable elf and the little mouse over there in the left corner. So that is my card, and I had so much fun coloring this one in. The image is adorable, so I hope that you think the same way and that you enjoyed this video. I truly want to thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate you all. I want to wish you an incredible day, and I'll be back soon. Bye!